Hey guys, what is going on? In today's video I'm going to be teaching you how to make your own Trap Nation styled logo for yourself, whether it's social media, YouTube, something like that. Trap Nation is a music channel. I'm sure you know who they are because you've probably found this video by searching for their logo. But if not, they are a music producing YouTube channel that run many channels under the name of Nation, so it's Trap, Bass, Chill Nation, and they all have quite similar logos. But this on screen right now is their logo, and I think it's really quite an iconic logo that pops out. It's quite simple, it's quite street, and in this video I'll be showing you how to make one for yourself. If you follow, it's going to be in Photoshop, and I never know how simple to make my tutorials because I don't want them to drag on for ages, and for the people that are quite experienced in Photoshop, I don't want you to get bored thinking tell me something I don't know kind of thing, and I don't want to leave people behind that have no idea what I'm doing, so I do my best to go somewhere in the middle. Let me know how that is going for you guys, and I might seem a little bit restless and a bit out of breath, and that's because this is my second time recording this, because I had a failure with the audio and lost everything and didn't want to just record over the top, so I'm doing the whole tutorial again. So I hope you guys enjoy it. So I'm going to start out with the text. So we're going to go ahead and open a new document. I recommend going quite large. I'm only going to go monitor size because I'm making this for a wallpaper and a banner. But the bigger you make it, the safer you are, because if you're you can make things smaller, but you can't make them bigger without them losing their quality. With them keeping their quality, I mean. So go as big as your computer can handle. Or as big as you want really, but yeah, don't go too small. So I'm going to start off with a grey background because I'm going to be doing the text in white. And I have chosen, so the best thing to do is to start with a font, because making text from absolutely nothing is quite difficult. So what I've done is I've found a font, it's called Blowbrush, that I think is quite similar to the Trap Nation logos. So I wonder what a good size is. So you can see the font here. If I typed out Trap, you can kind of see it's got that sort of brushy, thick style. So this is going to be our basis. So you need to type out whatever it is that you're going to be doing this in, and where Trap and Nation are on two separate lines, that's quite important because obviously it's inside a circle, and if it's all one big word it's not going to fit. So if your name doesn't really link and doesn't really work like that, then I would recommend maybe halving your name, splitting it in half. But I'm going to be doing this for Gary Cronley, so I need to write that out here, so I make it nice and big. Something around there, and then you can see it's a bit too thick, you can't really see what's going on. So the best thing to do is select between two letters, hold Alt, and then use the arrow keys to push either side. Separate it all out. And press mouse and it should thin itself out slightly. It hasn't, but this gives us a good idea of what we're going to be making. And then rasterize the layer and turn the opacity down. So this is just a rough guideline. We're going to be making the text ourselves. Trap Nation have it all at a slight angle. As you can see, that is straight for the text. They have it at quite a curved angle. So we're also going to be doing that. And then go to the layer above this, select the brush tool. Now I use a Wacom tablet when I'm doing my brushes. I find it a lot easier. What the Wacom tablet, or any drawing tablet, what it does is it means that if you're pushing thick, you get a thick line, and when you're going thin, you get a thin line. And that means that you get these really smooth lines that you just can't get with a mouse, or easily with a mouse. So if I tried to do a line like that with a mouse, it doesn't look too bad to me. So I'm using quite a good brush, but you can see it never gets thinner. Right, if I let go of that, I'm not getting any thin edges like here or like there. And I could never just get that smoother look. So it really does help for doing things like this. But you don't need one because you'll see at the end, but it won't be done with the brush. You're going to be moving to a pen tool, so this stage is just to get an idea for what it's going to look like. If you're not sure how to make your lettering, then type in maybe like urban street text and just type in your name or whatever, and just try and get some ideas of letters in the style that you want, because if you are following this video and you don't know how to do these letters, you're like, oh, how would I do an S or whatever, then just Google images it. You can find a lot of good typographists doing stuff like this, making their own fonts. But let's get into it. So in Trap Nation, something they do is they wrap around their layer. They have this big T that covers over the top. Now a G can't really do that. You can't really go like that and have it still looking good. It's going to look a bit messy. But you still want it to be bigger than the rest of the text. So you want the G to be quite prominent. And this is where I am not the best. I end up doing about 100 lines before getting the one that I like. There you go, I quite like that. And uppercase, lowercase, it doesn't really matter. Trap Nations, I can't really see the pattern, so their T here is lowercase, and so is the rest of it. However, their N here is uppercase, so I think they've just kind of gone for what looks good. So I'll be doing the same. So I'm thinking, oh, I've got a little dot there. Lowercase here. And it's just really doing this. You'll be doing this in multiple layers, but just keep going over it and over it until you get something that you're happy with. So I'm happy with that A. And then you move to the R. Maybe that, and then the Y. So for the Y, because I'm going to be doing Cronley, I could turn the Y into the L. So maybe I will focus on the Y later on, but for now, just something like that. So there is the top thing, the first thing, and then this is where it gets quite tedious, but doing this, I assure you, will get you a nicer, clean looking final product. You want to keep lowering the opacity and just keep going over and over and over until you get like something that you're happy with. The more you do this, the more you're gonna like get into each letter and really define it. And because that R right now, it looks really messy. You need to get some nice angles going. You know, mess around with it until you're happy with how it looks. So I feel like the G needs a bit more muscle to it. Like down there, it's a bit empty. And don't worry about everything being perfect. Like, your lines can all be quite messy because, as I say, you're going to be going over with the pen tool before anything gets finalised. Yeah, I quite like that. That's a nice little flick up. There you go. I've got to be careful with the A not to make it look like a U, because that looks quite like a U. But I feel like it does need that split. Right, there you go. Maybe even a different style R, because I'm not digging that R too much. So there's also connect, so maybe we should try and do some of that. So this bit here, it's not much of a tutorial, it's more just sort of showing you the best way to experiment. Just get into Photoshop and just have a go with the brush, making your text. So there you have Gary. You'll see how this all comes together in a little bit, so you then do it again. This time I might move this in a little bit. And there you have it. So we have like a nice script thing here. Now I'm going to hide all these other ones. I'm going to lower the opacity of this one. And this is where it starts to matter a little bit more. So down this side panel, you want to select the pen tool, the top one. And this allows you to draw these lines. This is just taking the brush and giving it smoother edges basically. So where the brush, if we zoom in, it's all a bit jagged. You know, it's like goes in a bit more there. It's all a little bit messy, and the brush tool is going to eliminate that. So what you don't want to do, and it's quite easy to do because you think it's going to look better, but it doesn't, is do it all in little stages like that, 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 that. You don't want to be doing that. You want to take as little amount of stops in the middle as possible. So probably from like there to maybe about there, and then do another stop. And here, if you hold Alt and left click and drag this, you get to choose how much. So if it was all the way out here and I did a dot, it's going to try and compensate for a large curve and really drag it around. So if I just wanted to go to there, then it's not going to let me do that. So if I hold Alt, drag this right down, it gives me more control, or it gives me less restriction. And if I right click and just left click the square, it takes rid of everything. So now my next line is going to be completely free. So I'm going to leave it with a bit of a kick, and I'm going to lessen that, allow it to take me to here. So obviously this, as I keep saying, this, you're not going to be writing the same letters as me, you're not going to be doing the same thing as me, unless you are just to have a go at doing this. But the chances are you're not, so it's really just using what I'm telling you to learn the best way of writing your letters. And something else with Trap Nation to notice, the thing that I'm doing is I'm just looking at everything they've done and picking out their patterns. So their letters, it gets thicker the further away from the center. So with the T, I would say the middle line is probably, just thin that down, probably about there. But the further the T gets this way, the thicker it gets. So this comes out like that, and it gives it just a bit more accent, a bit of depth. It's the same there, it's the same with the N. Like if that carried on going, then the N's going to be like that, and it's going to get very, very thick. And that just gives the text some depth, so we're going to try and keep that in ours. So where the G comes out, it's a lot thicker. Make a new layer to show you, it's a lot thicker here than it is there, so now with the pen tool out, make sure you're on a new layer, you right click, you make a selection, accept that, and then paste it with solid colour, so a white, and you have your letter. Now what can happen quite easily is you can end up getting too, like your text looking too cartoony, whereas this looks very, it's bubbly, but it doesn't look childish, it doesn't look cartoony. And they've got very nice strong letters, and not all your names would be like that, and especially Gary, it's all quite bouncy, curly letters. So you might have to let go of that style, unless your name works very well. But that's alright, because when you have all the circles in and the logo's getting more complete, you can still recognise exactly what it is and how it looks. So this is, I'm just going around literally what we have here, not changing anything. doing what I told you not to do. There you go. So right there, look, I could have just gone like that and like that, but then I'm going to have a messy point in the middle. I can just click there and make the whole thing one line. Guys, also, I'm looking for a partnership at the moment. If any of you are content creators and have a good experience with a partnership program, let me know who they are, give me recommendations, or any that you think I should avoid. I just haven't really looked at that, but I know it's something that I need to do. So definitely give me your advice on that, I would appreciate that. So here we have it, and then there's the Y, which I don't think matters because I think we're going to be changing it. I quite like how that's small, to be honest. There you go. And there's not too much talking to because it's more you just seeing the process that I'm going through, because once I've explained what I'm doing, there's only so much I can say. So everything looks very smooth apart from the G, so that's what I'm going to fix now. Oh yeah, that's to make a new G. So I'm thinking... What I'm doing here is I'm just giving it a bit more of an odd angle because it's all very curvy and bouncy. But there you can see the angles are starting to be a bit more... Oops, don't know what I did there. I don't know, the more you mess around in Photoshop with lettering, the more of an eye you get for what's looking good and what isn't. But it's really all down to... Wait, what have I done? Oh, there you go. Right. Now I need to rub under there, I guess. So I think that G is looking much better. So there is Gary from the top layer. Now we need to do the bottom. Gonna move that up slightly and make it all a little bit smaller.
So I'm just speeding this bit up for you. You just do the exact same thing that you did with Gary, or not for Gary, for your first line. You want to do that again on your second line, so you do the brush layer, then you do the brush layer again, and then you move to the pen layer, the pen tool, and you start finishing it off. So you should get something the same. Make sure you have the same style that you have for the first line. You don't want it to look like someone else has done the second line. It has to sort of hold the same image, and then that's done for the text.
Okay, so we've reached the end of part 1. Just follow the box on the screen on the outro, it will take you straight to the next part and you can carry on learning how to make a Trap Nation logo. If this part's enjoyed you, then be sure to like it, comment if there's any areas that you're stuck on, and I'll see you again on part 2.